Okay, now we're going to move on to part B, but I do want to make a comment. So we have coded our solution for part A. On the AP exam, they want you to make an assumption. And so let me talk about that for a second. As we move on to part B of this problem, you may need to use what you coded in Part A, and in fact, the College Board wants you to because they want to promote code reuse. So in other words, if they've asked you to code a method simulate that returns true if the frog successfully reached or passed the goal, they want you to use it again if needed. In other words, they don't want you to replicate this code again if it's already been buttoned up all nice and neat inside of a method. So let's keep that in mind as we go on to part B. So part B wants you to run simulations, which performs a given number of simulations and returns the proportion of simulations in which the frog successfully reached or passed the goal. For example, if run simulations is 400 and 100 of the 400 simulate method calls return true, then the run simulations method should return 0.25. Complete run simulation, assume, and here's where they're going to tell you what I just explained. Assume that simulate works as specified, regardless of what you wrote in part A. It also says you must use simulate appropriately to receive full credit. Okay, so here's the method header we're going to use. Runs num simulations and returns the proportion of simulations in which the frog successfully reached or passed the goal. Num in this case represents the number of simulations run. So that means we're going to have to call simulate and keep track of how many times simulate returns true. So I'm going to go ahead and write a set of curly brackets. So that means I'm going to need to create a variable, and I'll call it success. That's going to count up anytime we run the simulation by calling simulate, and it returns a true. So I can say something like this. I can make a loop, say for int I equals 0, and I'm going to run simulate about for number of times. So I'm going to say I less than num. I'm going to say I plus plus. So I'm going to say if simulate. Now remember, simulate returns a Boolean, so it's either true or false. So if I call simulate like this if statement will only execute the code inside of the curly brackets if this is true. So if it returns true. So if simulate returns true, I want to increment success. So we are going to loop through here 400 times and keep track of, oh, I'm sorry, I wrote that wrong. It's supposed to be success plus plus. There we go. We're going to add 1 to success if simulate returns true. So this is going to run 400 times. Now when we're all done, we have to return the ratio of successes to the number of times we ran the simulation. But remember, num is an integer, success is an integer. So if I do what they did above and I just said 100 divided by 400, just like that, you and I know this is 0.25, but in all actuality, because this is an integer and this is an integer, Java is going to call this 0. So I have to be sure that I cast either the numerator or the denominator to be a double, or I could multiply success by 1.0. There's a lot of different ways to do it. So in other words, I could say 1.0 times success. Because I'm multiplying by a double, that makes the numerator double, and the whole expression now becomes a double. I can do that, and I can divide that by num, and that will return the proper decimal. So now I have satisfied all the programming requirements. So if you want to know how your answers compare, you can always click the link that I have given you on the document. Let's see if I can find it real fast. Gotta switch to Michigan Virtual. Gonna look for this document. Let's see, I think it's this one. And I'm gonna click on this link here. And if I scroll down, oh, I think that's the wrong one. Oh, I did the home page. That's why. Here we go. I can go down and look for the scoring guidelines for 2018. And in here you will find a solution to this problem. It will include the rubric that's used by the College Board. Every free response is 9 points. So they're explaining here what it takes to earn a point in Part A, which is worth 5 points, what it takes to earn 4 points in Part B. And then if you scroll through, there's even more detail as to the rubric criteria. Responses earn the point if, and they do not earn the point if. And then finally, here's some sample code. Like I said before, it doesn't mean that your code is wrong if it doesn't match this. This is just an example of a perfect solution. All right, so we're going to do these every week, and hopefully you'll take advantage of my efforts and do some practicing outside of class. Thank you.